Tears of the Kingdom coming out this week. And it was actually Zelda Breath of the Wild that brought me back into gaming after almost 2 decades of not really playing any games at all. And I'll have to tell you, at the time, I was living on the beach in Puerto Rico when I first got Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I spent 2 weeks just in my apartment playing Breath of the Wild until I finally beat that game, barely even going outside and not working. So that's how much I love that game. And I am in huge anticipation of this Tears of the Kingdom coming out. Now, recently, Nintendo put out a short synopsis of the story of Breath of the Wild. And that synopsis was okay. It was a very brief overview of the story, and it didn't go in depth into any of the champion characters and their backstory. It just went straight over from the start and finish of Link and Zelda about the game. So it's only a few minutes long. But this other creator, GameSpot on YouTube, recently came out with another overview of the story that's a little bit more in depth than the one put out by Nintendo. And I wanted to go over this with you. So let's get started.
The long-awaited follow-up to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is finally almost here. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is coming May 12th, 2023. Even as close as we are, though, there's a lot that's still a mystery. Nintendo is notoriously secretive about its games before launch, and it seems especially inclined to keep this anticipated Zelda game under wraps.
Yeah, that's one thing they've done really well, is to keep the story secret. Now, we know that some copies leaked out early by people either stealing from their distributor and selling them online. So some people already have started playing the game. Hopefully you haven't taken the opportunity to look at any spoilers, so the story can be new for you.
But here's everything we do know about Tears of the Kingdom. Of all its most closely guarded secrets, the plot of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is perhaps the one held tightest to Nintendo's proverbial chest. The game will serve as...
Now, if you know, some creators are actually allowed to play the game early on. They were given about an hour and a half to play, but one of the things that they weren't allowed to share was the actual storyline. They were allowed to share some of the playing mechanics of the game and how to solve puzzles and some of the new abilities of Link, but the storyline was to be kept secret.
As a direct sequel to its predecessor, Breath of the Wild, which makes it the title set farthest in the series timeline. For a full rundown of how all the games in the franchise link to one another, check out our complete Zelda timeline video. But for now, here's a quick recap of the events of Breath of the Wild to get you caught up on the immediate story. 100 years before the start of Breath of the Wild, a prophecy tells of the return of Calamity Ganon, an evil that could take over the kingdom of Hyrule.
Like
in search of something powerful enough to face this threat, the Hylians unearth the Guardians and 4 divine beasts, ancient but also advanced technological creations that were, until then, lost to time. Champions from 4 of the kingdom's tribes were given the responsibility of piloting the
I actually feel like the story of the champions was one of the most evolved pieces of Breath of the Wild. Like the fact that Link didn't talk at all, almost the stories of the champions were more evolved than the story of Zelda herself.
Divine beasts, while the Knight Link was tasked with protecting Princess Zelda, the only person capable of learning the magic needed to seal away Calamity Ganon. In an event known as the Great Calamity, Ganon is able to take control of the Guardians, render the Divine Beasts inert, and gravely wound Link. Zelda has her Knight taken to the Shrine of Resurrection to heal, and uses her limited magical abilities to contain Ganon and herself in Hyrule Castle. Link awakens 100 years later and learns from the spirit of Hyrule's King Rome that Ganon has been gaining strength in the time since being...
Did you guys know that octopuses have 9 brains? They have like one central brain, and then they have a brain for each of their legs. And the central brain will tell the leg, like, hey, open that bottle. Like leg number 3, open that bottle. And I don't care how you do it, just figure it out. It's crazy how they actually communicate and work their own system.
Sealed away and will soon be strong enough to break free from his prison. Link travels across the kingdom and frees the 4 divine beasts from the blights that rendered them inert. With the mechanical creatures in tow, piloted by the spirits of their champions, Link faces Ganon, and with the help of Zelda is able to seal the ancient evil away before declaring that Hyrule will be rebuilt. Tears of the Kingdom looks to pick up before that can happen, however, with the return of Ganon, now in his humanoid form Ganondorf, who seemingly manages to separate Link and Zelda, forcing the Princess's Knight to forge a new quest to finding her and once again facing down the ancient cyclical evil. Much like
I don't consider myself the greatest gamer of all time. I like to go, I like to game, I like to have fun while I'm gaming, and I like to use it as a social tool. It's part of the reason too why I'm even streaming, is to kind of build a community, have people to talk to while I game. So, you know, I might try and give you, I do my research on trying to find tips and tricks for you guys. But I have to be honest. I mean, don't look to me to be like the greatest of all resources for gaming.
Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom will take place in an open world, which is seemingly a heavily modified version of the Hyrule we experience in the first game. Like that title, players will be free to explore it at their leisure, utilizing several abilities to get around with. The first ability is Recall. This can be cast on an object, forcing it to rewind in time. The key usage of this ability allows the player to reverse time on parts of the game's new Sky Islands that have fallen to the ground below, allowing Link to hitch a ride on them to get to the aerial areas. We have also seen examples of Recall being used in combat, such as rewinding time on a boulder that has been rolled in an attempt to squish Link, only for it to roll backwards and squash the enemies that pushed it instead. The next abilities are Fuse and Ultra Hand. The former allows Link to take items from his inventory to combine them, such as attaching a rock to the end of a stick to create a makeshift hammer, a mushroom to a shield to create a smoke screen when it's hit, or an eyeball to an arrow to allow it to home in on a target. The latter ability takes Fuse to the next level by allowing Link to grab almost any inanimate object in the overworld and combining them to create large-scale contraptions, particularly for traversal. This can range from simple rafts just going to go around several logs and fans for propulsion to primitive robots that Link can wield like a mech in combat. The final new ability is Ascend. In Breath of the Wild, to get on top of any surface, Link would more often than not need to scale the side of it, expending stamina to do so and in turn risking a nasty fall. Tears of the Kingdom expedites this process in certain scenarios with Ascend, an ability that allows Link to jump through any ceiling to pop out the other side on top. This can be done in both a thin covering or something as substantial as the side of a mountain that Link is inside a cave at the base of, swimming through the rock till he reaches the plateau above. Beyond the new abilities, Tears of the Kingdom looks to expand on the core gameplay of Breath of the Wild. Weapon degradation is still a thing, although it seems as if fusing weapons with other objects restores their vitality. Link will have his trusty glider, which he's going to need even more in Tears of the Kingdom, as he is able to freefall from the Sky Islands to the land below at any time, and shield surfing seems to be getting a substantial upgrade, with trailers showing off Link grinding along rails. Development on Tears of the Kingdom began in 2017, the same year as the release of Breath of the Wild. The game stemmed from ideas that the team initially intended for use in Breath of the Wild's DLC, but series producer Eiji Aonuma claims that there were too many ideas they had to leave on the cutting room floor that they instead decided to use as the foundation of a new title. Breath of the Wild's game director Hidemura Fujibayashi is also returning to helm Tears.
Yeah, I had a roommate. When I used to live in Seattle, I had a roommate that worked for Nintendo, and he told me that he was going to be working on some of the stories for the new Zelda coming out. And this was years ago, to give you an idea. So this has been in development for a long, long time.
Tears of the Kingdom. The game was first shown off at E3 2019 and for years went under the name of the sequel to Breath of the Wild. In 2020, it was given a release window of 2022. However, in March 2022, Nintendo released a video to announce the game would be delayed to 2023. And in September of that year, the title received its official name, Tears of the Kingdom, along with the release date of May 12th, 2023. In March 2023, during an extensive hands-on demonstration of the game's new abilities, Aonuma confirmed that development of the game had been completed.
Yeah,
With development of the game complete,
right?
Tears of the Kingdom will hit its release
done.
date of May 12th, 2023.
Later,
it is the first Switch
released.
game from Nintendo to launch at $70, which the company has stated is not a blanket pricing for all its future titles. While the game is $10 more expensive than previously priced Nintendo titles, it will be available as a part of the Nintendo Switch
70.
Online Voucher program, which allows Switch Online subscribers to buy a $100 voucher that they can use to redeem 2 games. Full details at GameSpot.com, for which other games can also be redeemed via this process. There is a $130 collector's edition of the game that includes a physical copy of it, a steelbook case, poster, pin set, and art book. Nintendo also released several Tears of the Kingdom peripherals, including a $25 carrying case and a $75 Pro controller. A Tears of the Kingdom themed Switch OLED model is out now as well. The collector's edition, as well as the Switch OLED and accessories, are all subject to availability. And that's everything we know about Tears of the Kingdom before its release. While we don't know much about the game's plot, or if it will score a 10 out of 10 at GameSpot like its predecessor, we couldn't be more excited to return to Hyrule. Let us know your hype levels for Tears of the Kingdom in the comments below.
Engine already developed from the original Breath of the Wild. So I have to imagine that the storyline of this one and the new mechanics are just insanely good, along with the new puzzles. It's something I'm excited about. I'm going to be sharing a lot of gameplay of this, a lot of the new tricks that I find out. If I find really good content about Tears of the Kingdom that people publish, I'll also be sharing that. I'm a new streamer. Like and subscribe. And I will talk to you guys soon. Okay, bye.